Hi, this is William Johnson, and I'm here to record my e-portfolio comp highlight video. So I will start right here. This is my overall website that was provided for us, and I won't go through all of this stuff here, but I will start with my artifact folder. I have included most all of the information into file folders that I use through making this videos and uh, logging my activities that were done, my goals that I set out at the beginning of the program was 1 to 5 years. I wanted to uh, complete, obviously, in the first 2 or 3 years, I wanted to complete my master's degree and be successfully employed as a principal within the next 5 years. But a couple things got in the way, and it took me about 3 years to get through with this. I have a copy of my leadership philosophy included here. The one I chose was the transformational leadership style. And when I talked with my staff in the future, I will share with them my style of leadership, my goals and objectives. And it was my desire to lead by inspiring and inciting others through honesty, trust, and compassion. The plan of study, I won't open that up. It's pretty much the same for everybody. The resume right here is I'm kind of a non-traditional. Whoops, I opened the wrong thing. So I'm kind of a non-traditional student, that I am a little older than most of the people. I've been in education for 30 plus years, and that's my resume, my activity form that where we logged all of our activities. And I made a few changes here just recently today, is why some of these are in yellow and other ones. So my administrative verification, working with the three building um, administrators in my district to complete this project, and I owe them a lot. My annotated bibliography, I'm not really going to lie here. The annotated bibliography took me an enormous amount of time. I like to read and understand all the articles. So, uh, first of all, it was really helpful that these are into 11 different categories. And now, as I'm studying for the praxis exam, I understand why they're in these 11 different categories. And one of the other things was going from the APA 6th edition to the 7th edition is on documentating and references was kind of challenging as well. The video will be posted here. And so I think I'm ready to get into the meat of it, which is going through all the different activities and how they fit in. And I won't read every single thing on the video, on the slides in this 15 minutes that I have. But the first one was on the district was the standard 3, equity, inclusiveness, and culture responsive. This was a project I did that was taught me a lot about the biases that confronting how schools should confront the institutional biases that just inevitably are there with minority groups, maybe ethnicities that come into your school, maybe migrant students. I live in Northwest Kansas, um, very not at all diverse at all, but that's just the way it is. But it taught me a lot. The second one on Standard 4, Learning and Instruction, was the local curriculum inquiry report. This was very good to look at how we do things here in our local curriculum, how we deal with Common Core, and that was very good. The next one was my favorite project of the entire 36 hours that I've took in my master's. I have this is going to be a master's in science, and this was to make a highlight video or to recruit kids to come to school here. Little did I know, after this was over, COVID hit. Some people left our school district because they didn't like some of our policies. So I think this would be something that would be very helpful in the future, that we could roll out and try to recruit kids to come back into our school. Because as you know, That costs our school district money anytime they leave. The next one, if I can get this thing to work, was my school hierarchy model, and this was on operations and management. This was one that I really enjoyed, the school hierarchy, to look at the hierarchy, because in our school, um, you know, we got to have everybody on the same page. And sometimes throughout my years in education, not everyone has been on the same page. And I think as a leader, this taught me how to teach everybody underneath me as a building administrator that they are important, that we all have our tasks, and every single one of us is needed in order to educate the students. So I really, really like this assignment. Then I put in the last one for district was the 5 stages of teacher evaluation, which I'm going to have to do as an administrator, is to evaluate the teachers, but I want them to know that I'm there to help them as well as evaluate them. So that was district. We move on to the elementary. Our elementary program here, the first thing that I highlighted under standard 1 was the mission, the vision, and improvement. Collaboration learning cycle was a good project that I did to show everyone how we all need to work together and to have continuous school improvement. And that was a big philosophy throughout many of the classes, continuous school improvement. And it takes a lot of stakeholders in order to do that. The next one was turned out, I really enjoyed how this turned out. It was a think before you post poster. And I put this intentionally at the elementary school level because we have kids. If we can teach them proper etiquette when they're on social media or digital citizenship, as it's called, then that is going to be a benefit. So we know that kids are getting into cell phones at a younger and younger age all the time. The next one was on standard 3, equity and inclusiveness and cultural responsiveness. This was one to teach us how to include all students, that all students, regardless of who they love or what color of the skin they are, every single one of them needs to be recognized and respected and brought into the school system. There's no excuse for not doing that. And the next one was an inclusive school. Let's see, it didn't change. Okay. Standard 4 was learning and instruction. This was one project that I did, one of the first ones that I did, and way back in October of 2018, long before COVID hit. Barriers to the web video. And this was very helpful because when we went on lockdown in the spring of 2020, many of our students did not have access to the internet. And this was very helpful that I had the knowledge in advance of how to handle this. And then I have another one on standard 5, community and external leadership. This was finding out what the demographics of our community are like. And the next one was on the assessment scores in our school, on operations and management, how to dive in and dissect and work with the data that the Kansas Department of Education has on all of our testing and things like that, and how to deal and plan for that continuous school improvement based on data. And the final one was on the best practices, evaluation, and supervision, to show my educators right up front what I'm going to be looking for when it comes time to evaluate them, let them know that I'm there to help them and work together to improve. The next one was on secondary. And I have taught at the secondary level for 30 years of my 32 years in education. And so this one was very interesting to me. Standard 1, mission, vision, improvement. The KISA video, I really enjoyed learning a little bit about KISA when it was first proposed at our school. They didn't really tell us it was for accreditation. They just started telling us, well, all the things we're going to have to do. So now, as I dived into it, I understood, hey, it's all about accreditation, and I'm old enough. I've lived through QPA and No Child Left Behind and things like that. So this is a breath of fresh air, you might say. My leadership philosophy again, I shared that a little bit earlier, but this was the ethics and professional norms. I left some things of professionality in my leadership philosophy there. Another leadership philosophy I put in there. Cultural diversity and safe schools. This fits in really well to Standard 3 and was a great project to learn not just special education students, but for all students that are maybe that need to be protected and students that oftentimes get harassed. So this is going to be very important that I set the tone as a building leader of how to treat everyone, and everyone, regardless of who they are, is going to be recognized and respected in my building. The next one is tech leadership action, and this is on learning and instruction. There was the 7 habits of highly effective leaders. I'm not going to go through all this one because there's quite a few parts to it. Data protocol. So learning and instruction also, this data protocol was very important to me, that we learned how to disaggregate all the data that comes in, because all of our decisions need to be based to improve student learning, need to be based on the data that we see. And standard 5, community and external leadership. This let me evaluate what is it like in our community. My continuous school improvement video is my story. I have to basically research what our community is like, and Kansas State Department of Education had a website that we went to try and look at some of the data about our school and the demographics. So that was very good for me. And then operations and management, how we're going to deal with maybe gender neutral bathrooms, or all the things with our federal law of how to include all students. This is going to be a hot topic, even more so coming up, not just in schools, but maybe in the sports realm as well. Collaborative teaching, building professional capacity is the standard on this one. And I chose collaborative teaching because I thought this fit in really, really well. And this is something that I think school districts need to do a much better job of allowing time for teachers to collaborate during the school day. And that's one areas of focus that I want to have. And then the last one I put in about standard 7, building professional capacity, was also teacher evaluation, and how an overview of that, this video that I had made, which was very helpful to me to learn through some of that. Then there's a reflection. This reflection was very helpful to me to go through all of the classes that we had this year, or over the whole program, and I felt it was very helpful for me to refresh my mind of how far I've came and how much I'd learned throughout the whole program. So without any further ado, that is my video. Thank you very much for working with me, and I appreciate it.